what do we have? What power do we possibly have over this process? Time. Take your time before you react. Hopefully, if it's emotions like anger, jealousy, you may cool down, they may die down a little bit. And you haven't acted as yet. Because you can't withdraw the action, right? Unfortunately, we can unact something. We can attempt to correct it, but it's already done. Time. Second thing we have, choice. Remember, you have a choice. We talked about the details of this when we discussed a part of Qadr. I will abbreviate that now because we're running out of time. But just briefly, part of Qadr is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you choices in actions, in responses. You choose the action, but you don't choose the outcome. Allah created you and your actions. You could not have done anything that Allah didn't create. So you can drink because Allah created drinking. You can eat because Allah created eating. You can sit because Allah created sitting. You can talk because Allah created talking and continue. But you can't do something that Allah didn't create. And part of Qadr is that the actions that Allah has created, He has associated with each an outcome. We have to discover what the outcome for each action is. It's a process of education. That when you do something, something happens. Process of experience. And when we want an outcome, we choose the corresponding action. And remember, when you do the act, the outcome will happen. And if you want the outcome, it's only via the act. And there's details to this. You have a choice. And every choice you make will influence the outcome, which is what we're looking for right now. Isn't that so? There is a choice. Allah has given that human being a choice. Albeit a limited choice. For like the choices in a restaurant, it's on a menu. You can only choose from what Allah has given you. You can only choose from what Allah has chosen. In any given circumstances that requires a reaction, you are given a few variables. With different variables, you're given a few options for your reaction. You can only choose from the options that Allah has given you to choose from at that point, in that situation, in that circumstances. But you do have a choice. Ask yourself, what are the choices before you choose? Subhanallah. If you take in an exam and it's multiple choice, would you select A before you know, is there a B? Is there a C? Is there a D? Does it stop at E? And what are they? Would you? Do you ever take an exam like that and said, okay, it says A, I circle A. Say, I circle. No. You understand the question. You read A, B, C, D, and E, and then you take the time and you choose one of them. A lot of times, we respond without knowing what are the possibilities. What are the possible responses? Hey. Stop and ask yourself. Give yourself time. Are the responses that I am familiar with the only choices that Rabbul Alameen has made available? Or are there more choices? Why don't you ask somebody with knowledge? فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ ذِكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people with knowledge if you don't know. Isn't that what it's about? When you have a question, you're faced with a situation, you call up the Sheikh, say, Sheikh, such and such happened. What's the correct answer? What's the proper answer? What are you asking for? You can do something. Isn't that so? You have A and B already. But you asking him, is there a C? And which one is correct? Based on the Quran and Sunnah. So you're trying to reprogram your superego into understanding, and that's what the process of knowledge is about. We want to reprogram, continue to update our superego so that it helps us to make sensible, guided decisions. We want to know all the variables in the situation before we choose. We have the power to turn down the request or demand of a nafsul ammaratu bisu. We don't have to answer it. You can look it in the eye and say, no. And it feels good to take an emotion and let it soak in. Feel what it feels like. Don't be afraid of anger. Don't be afraid of hate. Don't be afraid of jealousy. Don't be afraid of guilt. Don't be afraid of shame. These are powerful forces that can be redirected to energize us. Remember, that emotion is like the horse, and the ego is like the jockey. What does the jockey do? He doesn't kill the horse. All he does is steer it. The reins, the superego, the reins. Redirect it. Control it. See that? Let it loose. When you destroy your emotion, you destroy the drive within you. You become complacent. You become unmotivated. You become passive. So don't destroy the emotion. Control the emotion. Understand the emotion. Redirect it. And you find that very emotion that has the potential to make you do wrong can be the driving force that moves you to do great things. And this discussion, inshallah, is long. And it will continue bi-idhnillah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He help us to recognize the existence of the nafs and its various manifestations and states, and how it can influence our decision making process, our thought process and decision making process. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to make the right choices by helping us to recognize that we do have choices, but we have to take our time and we have to weigh the possibilities with guidance from Quran and Sunnah and people of knowledge. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He help us to come to grips with our emotions. Don't be afraid of them. To face them. To recognize them when they are there. Don't turn our backs on them. But look them in the eye and see what they're telling us to do and control them so that we can make the right choice for every occasion, inshallah. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen.